So we'll start off by breaking down the movement. So what is a deadlift, right? So a deadlift is quite simply picking a weight up off the ground and putting it back down again. It's probably one of the most basic movements you can do in the gym, but the teaching points are really important. So loads of people are afraid of it. A lot of people get injured by it. So think about it like the high risk comes high reward, right? So there is a high risk involved. That's why I wanted to prioritize the deadlift, because it is such a good movement, right? So let's break down first what muscle groups we're working so you all know why you're doing it, right? So the deadlift basically works every muscle from the back of your neck all the way down to your heels, okay? So your entire backside we're working. Obviously a bit of bicep, core, like it's basically the most compound movement you can do. So in the gym we talk about compound movements or isolation movements, right? Compound is when we use multiple muscles or all working at once. Isolation is obviously when we just isolate one specific muscle, right? So basically this is probably the most compound movement you can do in the gym, right? Now in terms of starting off with the movement, so I like to start from the ground up. So where do we stand when we deadlift, right? So I'll obviously demonstrate for you, and then we're going to get everyone practicing it. So in terms of the actual deadlift, right, we're going to basically stand wherever you feel powerful. Now, if you're new to the gym and you're new to free weight training, I don't know where I feel powerful. So a good guideline for you is stand wherever you would feel confident to do like a standing long jump. So imagine somebody asked you to jump and you had to generate power to jump forward. Where would you go with your feet? You're going to be roughly hip to shoulder width, okay? So for me, I feel powerful in this position. I now feel like I could lift weight. If somebody tried to push me, I could hold myself. So for me, I'm in that kind of shoulder to hip position, right? So that's where you put your feet. You don't go narrow, you don't go wide. Now, we're covering the conventional deadlift, by the way. There's other forms of deadlifting. So like a sumo, when you go wide. We've got a trap bar as well in the corner. So different variations, but today we're going to cover conventional, right? So for me, as I said, I feel powerful in that shoulder to hip position, right? Now, use obviously the bar, use the markings on the bar for a guide for where to put your feet, right? This might sound like an obvious thing, like a common sense thing, but you never know who you're dealing with, so always feel relevant to mention it. But obviously don't stand off to the side, yeah? Stand right in the center, use the markings on the bar so you're centered correctly, so you're obviously balanced, okay? So I've got my feet position. Now, where do we talk? We talk about hand position now. So this is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make. Their hands are too close or in front of their knees. That's just going to get in the way. So what you need to do is put your hands outside of the knees, right? So what I like to do is go thumbs against my shin. And now that's where my hand naturally wants to fall. That's when I'm going to grab the bar, okay? So if you use the markings that are on the bar, we've got 2 wee rings. For me, I'm just about where those rings are. My pinkies are going to go on the rings. And now I've got my grip and I've got my stance, okay? So we've covered stance and we've covered grip. Now we're going to look at what we call hip position, okay? So it's best for me to show you from the side, right? But basically, when you're looking at somebody deadlifting from the side, you should see a diagonal line down the way from the base of their neck down to their bum, okay? So imagine that's their bum and that's their head. That's the position you want to see. You don't want to see that, which is hips and bum are way up high, okay? So I'll turn the bar to the side so you can see. So I get my grip and my stance. And now we're going to look at hip position, right? So right now my hips are up far too high, okay? If I was to pull in this position, I'm creating far too much pressure through my lower back, right? So what I need to do is drop my hips down and pull my head and chest up, right? You want to think about chest up the entire time you're deadlifting. At no point should your chest go forward like that. You're going to think chest up the entire time, even as you're going down the way. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. When they're going down with the bar, they'll start to go forward with their chest and they'll hunch over, right? So I'm going to show you again. So stance. I've got a powerful stance. I've now got my grip. And now this, as I said, this is bad position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my hips down and pull my head and chest up. So see that obviously the difference with that. Now my hips are in a good position, my head is up, my chin is down, and I'm just going to pull up the shin. Stand up nice and tall with it, okay? So when you stand with a bar, pull your shoulder blades back, push your chest up, okay? Now, as I said, the going down part is where most people go wrong. Most people go forward first, and what does that do to my upper back? It rounds me over, yeah? So you're going to be chest up the entire time. I'm going to start to lean over the bar and push by pushing my bum back. Then I start to bend at my knee, back down to the ground, and that's the deadlift, right? So that's basically the movement, right? The hips are down, the head is up, you're pulling up, standing up nice and tall, and then reversing the process by leaning over the bar, yeah? So I'll give you another few demo reps. So get my stance, hands outside the shins, hips are down. I'm keeping my head in a neutral position. Another wee mistake people make is they arch too much. That's going to like arch your spine way too much. So keep your chin down and just look diagonally down, okay? So just like that, hips are down. I'm up, retract shoulder blades, reverse the process, back down, boom, yeah? So that's the deadlift, okay? So that's the movement, right? So who in here hasn't deadlifted before? Have we got any?